Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, the man who has the Chipalytics. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, just shining, just a great night. It's so funny you say 56.2. That is probably close to the implied probabilities of the series price.
Right.
Because they were probably minus 120 or minus 115 slight series price before game one even started.
No, it was better.
140?
It was 170.
Yeah, geez. Well, that's even so what you're telling me is if we actually use history, then the odds have gotten worse. Okay, because if the implied probabilities before game one even starts are better than that, and now they're 56.2, we got to throw the record books out.
The two series in the West were very, very tight. Dallas was a slight favorite. Vegas and Edmonton, I believe, were even money. Both Carolina and Florida were pretty sizable favorites. Florida was a little bit better. I think Florida was minus 180. I thought Carolina was minus 170. Depending on which site you use, Florida and Carolina might have been the same, minus 175. I saw that. But yeah, look, shocking to me, but you know how the lines are set. They use a lot of analytical data.
Which the Hurricanes play out well. I mean, it makes them a very frustrating futures bet, right? Because they're always going to end up loving the computers. By the way, implied odds of minus 170, 62.9%.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of people that thought that Carolina was just better, and that clearly the analytics say, according to Vegas, that the Hurricanes are. Look, I hope Vegas is right.
Right. Well, especially now, I was just looking at FanDuel Sportsbook where you can make every moment more. Now it's up to minus 420. I mean, that's a little. I'm not into doing emotional hedges when it comes to the Hurricanes. I'm a straight ahead looker.
I am. I'm all about emotional hedges. What is Washington right now?
Plus 320.
Oh my gosh, I might be all over that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. No.
I'm happy to donate the money, Chip.
Nope. The action of doing it is creating the energy in the universe that we do not need.
Okay.
One last hockey thing before we can take this wherever you want.
All right.
I was working through some pregame anxiety, and I just was like, can I sit down and can I write out all of the playoff runs by opponent since 2019?
Okay.
So I sit down and I write Caps, Islanders, Bruins. Then I do the next line and I go through and just totally blind, Preds, question mark. I had a couple of ones that I wasn't so sure about.
Right.
Almost nailed them all, except I flip-flopped Islanders and Devils in 2023 before the Panthers and the Eastern Conference Finals. Right. To which my friend Tom Fernelli said that the Panthers series was my Vietnam, and that I've come back with brain troubles and a loss, and I have never quite recovered. I don't remember anything. And I said, Caps 2019 is our World War II. Panthers 2023 is our Vietnam, complete with the exceptionalism at the beginning and the total disaster at the end.
Yes, because we started with, 4 overtimes? Gosh.
It was 6, right? Or was it 4?
It was 4 overtimes. It lost right at the end of the 4th overtime.
I know. I was there.
Yeah, so was I. I made the editorial decision to not do the podcast after the game because we were there too late. It was 3:00 in the morning before we were leaving. Remember, that game started at 8. It didn't start at 7 because the conference finals will all start at 8:00 unless we're talking about a weekend game, in which case it might start at 7.
You know what? We're not placing any emotional hedges because we hope to find out what that 8:00 puck drop feels like.
I will say, though, that Washington plus 325 does definitely pique my interest, but I'm not in deference to you.
Thank you.
And out of immense respect for your view of the universe, the vibes, I'll stay away from it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got all right. So news today from Matt Norlander, your colleague at CBSSports.com, who does the Eye on College Basketball podcast with Gary Parrish, says that the ACC has agreed to lower their men's basketball schedules. I have no idea if this applies to the women's schedules or not. but to lower their basketball schedule amount from 20 to 18, and this will almost certainly include just one home and home. So Duke and Carolina will still play twice, but State and Carolina will only play once. State's home and home will be with Wake Forest. What do you make of that? I am not at all thrilled with this.
I am not. Number one, I'm not convinced that this helps the goal of getting more teams in the NCAA tournament.
Thank you.
Number two, I think fans lose here.
Thank you.
If you're going to be like so excited about all these great programs, well, if you're a fan, it's frustrating only having less opportunities. And I understand that, especially for a season ticket holder, dropping 2 games means you're just losing one home game, and you're saying like, hey, Chip, we're just talking about one game, but it creates distance in just the number of times that you're going to be able to see the rest of the league. No, here locally, just one game between North Carolina and NC State in men's basketball is disappointing.
Imagine the year where the State-Carolina game is not in Raleigh. So most State fans, some will be able to go because you'll be able to get tickets. But most State fans, well, you're not bringing 18,000 people, State fans to Chapel Hill, or 15,000 people. You're going to bring 3,000 at best, right? Probably a lot less than that. So yeah, it's a major loss. But let me ask you this question, because I kind of heard where you were going. I don't understand why we have to play every team in the league during the course of a season. I don't see any value at all to putting State and SMU on the court together. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't play, but I don't think they have to play. I don't think State has to play Cal. I don't think State has to play Pitt. Like, there are certain teams you have to play and you should play twice. I don't get the point in making every team play every other team.
Well, we know that you are the first person to come up with scheduling on the fly.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Even before it was done in the pandemic, and Coastal Carolina and BYU put a game together on Thursday and played it on a Saturday. Adam Gold was here first, and he said, "We don't need to schedule these things out like this. We can figure these things out. Let's put together matchups that will create the good competition. The best teams play against the best teams." I hear you. I think that ultimately ACC is probably looking up at the conference that just had the best season ever and produced a national champion.
Right.
And they're just putting in some monkey see, monkey do. Well, the SEC plays 18 games.
Right.
So let's go play 18 games. And if you want somebody to go, I'm going to pick a random team out of the hat. Let's see if this backs it up. Texas A&M wasn't a good example. But if you were to have somebody go and fill those spots with good quality games that help their standing and are competitive, that's great. If you have somebody go, what was it, Iowa State a couple years ago, like 351 strength of schedule or something bananas. Like if somebody just wants to pad in some more wins, then they can do that. What these schools do with the 2 extra games will depend on where you stand and what your goals are, but I still don't think that this is going to make you like the SEC just because you've copied how many games the SEC plays in the league schedule.
Do you think the SEC got 14 teams in the field because they play 18 conference games? No. They got 14 teams in the field because they had 14 teams that were good enough to get in the field. The ACC only sent, what did we send, 4? And Carolina went to the first 4. We sent 4 teams to the field, not because we played 20 conference games, but because we weren't good. It's so stupid, silly that I just don't understand. I just think the league is getting bad advice. I think in basketball you schedule for two real reasons. You schedule to make your television partner the happiest it could be, and you give them the matchups that you think they want. So I don't care about rotation. I don't care about equity, and this goes for football too. A sport, by the way, where you don't play everybody, so we already have precedent that you don't have to play everybody every year. But I would schedule for TV and to make my fans happy. That's all I would do. I don't care about anything else. I think gaming the system isn't it. And that's the way I hear it, is that they're trying to trick the committee into thinking you're better rather than simply doing the hard work and getting better.
So, our mutual friend Joe Giglio brought up a great point, pointing to the Duke-Illinois game.
Yeah.
That even though, everything is done by the time conference play starts and things are locked in, there is still a selection committee, right?
Right.
I mean, there is a little bit of there is still a little bit of the subjective that is still very much a part of the NCAA tournament selection process. I would like, and this was Giglio's suggestion, the time in the schedule to get out of non-conference play and play a really good non-conference game. What was it? Early February. Duke's
going to do it again this year.
Yeah, if this is one thing that we see a lot of teams do, that could raise the profile of the whole conference.
Right, but we won't. Right, West Durham, we won't see it. West Durham yesterday suggested we take the ACC-SEC challenge and move it to the week before the Super Bowl, like between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl, and play your big ACC-SEC challenge then. That's fine, but that's something that is really out of the league's control. I'm really concerned with just the conference part of this schedule. I think teams should schedule smarter. Like North Carolina overscheduled themselves this year, and I don't know that it was intentional. It turned out that they went to Maui in a year where they had, 3 of the 5 best teams in the country there. It turned out that Florida wasn't good. Florida was national championship good in the game they played there. And the SEC-ACC game happened to be, I guess that was the Alabama game. I mean, It was kind of unfortunate for them. The Kansas thing they didn't really need to play, right? Was Kansas in Maui, or was Kansas, right?
All right. You are the University of North Carolina. You just won the ACC regular season championship.
Right.
You were the 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Disappointing to lose in the Sweet 16 as the 1 seed, no doubt. But I have no issue with scheduling like you are one of the 5 best teams in the country at that spot. Now they fell short. They failed.
Right, by a lot.
But scheduling wise, I would.
No.
I would rather. I would rather see teams like that take the Duke approach to scheduling, and that was very much that kind of schedule.
Right. No, I understand, but you have to know that you're going to have a better roster going into the season, and maybe that's just the failure of it all. And they had the schedules already in place. They thought they would have a better roster. Man, their roster had no chance with that. As it turned out, Kansas wasn't nearly as good as we thought, even though Duke also lost to Kansas. But maybe that using UNC is a bad example. The ACC.
They also lost. What was it? They were right there against Florida. They were right there against Kansas.
Florida's a team that built their way into this season.
Right.
They didn't have a great non-conference schedule. Heck, Carolina might have been the best non-conference game they played.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't real intimately know the Gators' schedule, but what I would do if I were running the league, and I'm available if they ever want to consult me on this, I would play fewer conference games, not more. I would schedule 16, not 18. I would leave 2 midweeks open to not randomly, but to manufacture league games that would count in the standings that are among teams that should play each other at that point based on the level of competition. I would create those matchups, which would be great for TV. I would do that. So that would get me to 18. I would say in your non-conference schedule, if you want to be an NCAA tournament team, don't put anybody on your schedule that is routinely ranked in the 200s. Don't do it. Like, cap it at 200, because those games, when you play teams that are ranked in the 300s, and most of the times these schools play like 4 of them, like all you're doing is damaging your own power rating. Don't do that. if you can't beat teams on your own floor that are in like 175, well, then you ain't good enough anyway. And why are we trying to trick the system? Schedule smarter. Those bye games should be better games. And you don't have to go crazy scheduling because ultimately your record is probably the most important thing anyway. But again, I go back to scheduling for your fans and scheduling for TV.
Yeah. And they're told how to schedule for television. That's
right.
There's always going to be that heavy influence in the room.
You think ESPN is saying, hey, Jim, meaning Jim Phillips, we really need that SMU Wake Forest game?
Well, I think that's where the math is being done on giving up conference games. I mean, I am not privy to those decisions, but a conference game by contract is something that your media rights partner knows money can and will be made. It is a cost certainty situation. By giving up conference games, there needs to be either written or at least implied the idea that some of the games that will replace those conference games will be games of more value than what they had with your routine run-of-the-mill ACC game.
So, Chip Patterson, as always on a Wednesday. I saw this yesterday. I'm fascinated by it. I'm sure it's been out there for a lot longer than this. First I saw it. I've been kind of focused on whether it's NFL draft or the Hurricanes or whatever. I don't know if you know this. Rory McIlroy won the Masters. Did Ian Shefflin is going to play
tight end?
The tight end. Dabo Swinney said he could play any position he wanted, basically. He's going to be a tight end on the Tigers football team?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he ain't no Julius Peppers, all right? Like when it comes to great two-sport athletes in ACC history. But I think this speaks to something that is going on right now with our friends at the Upstate. I think that Dabo Swinney has doubled down on all of the old school Daboism. Like he's made it through the fires of people yelling at him and him yelling back, and he's taking key transfer portal additions, right? You know,
right,
like he's using the transfer portal, but he's only using it when they actually have roster spots. So he's, doing it his way. They don't lose a lot of players to the transfer portal. I mean, the University of North Carolina lost 50 players.
Is that amazing that Clemson doesn't lose a lot of players?
And they're good players too. They've got potentially 5 or 6 first-round NFL draft picks on this roster.
I saw somebody said they had 4 of the top 10.
That's a lot being put at the feet of Cade Klubnik or Antonio Williams.
You know how I feel about Cade Klubnik, but still.
But the point is, I love that they've doubled down, and this is old school. It is old school to have your football coach be a diehard fan of your basketball team and your baseball team and showing up to every daggum athletic event like you're a mini athletic director. I mean, it is old school in the way that when at Clemson's rival, South Carolina, Ray Tanner, right? Ray Tanner being the athletic director, they're just fully in like everything that's going on. And it's a little collegiate, it is like, hey, well, come on now. You ain't got no more eligibility in basketball. You're 6'7". You got a nice hindquarters. Let's have you go do the jump ball drill.
He's right.
And like Danny Cannell and I were talking about it on the Cover 3 podcast. And, he's very intimately familiar with the Clemson basketball program from Ben Middlebrooks, his nephew, being a part there and following ACC basketball. That Clemson team, they rebound and they're tough.
Right.
Like you don't think the power forward from an old, tough, nasty, good rebounding team is not going to be able to go out there and hold his own? I don't know if he's going to do anything except catch a touchdown pass when they play Charlotte. Whatever their group of 5 military appreciation day game is.
Chip Patterson.
I think it's going to be fun.
I watched Antonio Gates play basketball for Kent State.
In the tournament?
In the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
I had no idea that he was ever going to play football. I don't know if he played football at Kent State. They have a football team. I don't believe he did. But all I know is the next time I saw Antonio Gates, he was catching touchdown passes from Phillip Rivers, and I went, holy cow. It was remarkable to me. All right, real quick, because you wrote it for CBS Sports. Notre Dame and Clemson in this 12-year scheduling arrangement, which I do believe will be repeated in some way, shape, or form with Florida State and Miami over time. You say that this is great for Notre Dame and bad for any reasoning for them to ever join a conference.
Yeah,
Explain.
It is remarkable the way that this sport continues to bend the knee to the Fighting Irish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are going to be able to be independent and pick and choose what they want for as long as they want for the foreseeable future. Before we get to the ACC specific part of it all, because there's one part of this story that has not been confirmed and is a little bit up in the air, but it could make this even more absurd, at least in terms of being Notre Dame. But the line on independence from Notre Dame, and this is going back to athletic directors, and it's maintained the company line, we will continue to be independent as long as we are not impacted with filling out a schedule with quality competition, number one, and number two, access to the college football playoff.
Right.
Well, in the current college football playoff proposals, whether it is the 14 team or the 16 team, the 4-4-2-2-1-1 hike, they call it, Notre Dame is guaranteed a spot as long as it is a top 14 team.
Right.
Notre Dame has finished outside of the top 14 twice in the last 10 seasons.
Right.
With the way Marcus Freeman has this thing humming, they get out of bed, they tie their shoes, and as long as they don't trip over their own 2 feet walking out the front door, they're getting in a car that's going right to the college football playoff.
Unless their schedule is difficult.
But you know what makes it easier? When you got a 12-year deal with Clemson. And
does it make it easier? Clemson should be good. It makes it easier when they're playing. This is why I believe getting Florida State and Miami on board with that too actually works against that entity, because what has made it easier for Notre Dame is the rest of the ACC has, I'm not saying no chance against this Notre Dame team, kind of no chance. You go back a few years and Duke went there and won, and Carolina won, and State won. But
Notre Dame,
this ACC isn't going to beat Notre Dame, but for like 2 teams.
Yeah, and Notre Dame largely has there's a spot in its game notes that they copy and paste all the 5 times that they play, and the cumulative record since the agreement went into place is that Notre Dame has something absurd like a 75 or 80% winning percentage in their ACC games.
Yep. And here's me, commissioner. Sorry, I love you, Duke. You're not playing Notre Dame.
So
we're not bringing the Irish here so you can sell 31,000 tickets.
Obviously, Jim Phillips, PhD, is a huge fan of this show, and he is able to listen on this unprecedented statewide platform.
Yes.
The ACC maintains that in this agreement with Clemson, the years that were already agreed to, which the years that were already on the books for them in the rotation, will count for Notre Dame's 5 games.
Yeah.
The ones that were not previously on the schedule will not count. Notre Dame, according to Yahoo Sports, I've reached out myself. Let me get my pocket protector out.
Right.
I've reached out to Notre Dame for comment, and I have not heard back.
Yeah, it won't take away other opportunity for ACC schools,
but it might.
Right.
The first reporting from Yahoo Sports on this said, and the ACC rotation will need to be adjusted in the future. Then the ACC said, no, it doesn't need to be adjusted. And the final adjustment to Ross's Yahoo report is this is a, quote, ongoing discussion. The first time it might become an issue is 2029.
What I read was that it was going to be above and beyond the current ACC agreement.
Correct. I think that Notre Dame wants to have these games count. I think that Notre Dame wants this. I think Notre Dame wants to pick and choose its ACC 5. I think Notre Dame wants to play Clemson every year. I think they want to rotate in some Florida State and Miami. They'll get in their Boston College. They'll get in their Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I don't think Notre Dame wants to the Stanford, obviously another rival that they've got with historic rivalries. I don't think Notre Dame wants to go to Winston-Salem anymore.
I don't blame them.
I don't think Notre Dame wants to have a football schedule with UVA on it. Like, I think that Notre Dame, going back to the idea that the whole college football world is bending the knee, I think that Notre Dame would like to be able to continue. Yeah, ACC, we'll do our ACC 5, but we get to pick the 5. And the leverage here is that it benefits the ACC for Notre Dame to be playing only the best teams in the ACC.
It does. I'm on board with it. If I'm Jim Phillips. By the way, I can't wear a tie like Jim. Jim wears great ties.
Great ties.
I'm Jim Phillips. Notre Dame, I'm going to give you the full menu. You give me the 8 or 9 schools that you really want to play on a regular basis. Tell me. I'll make it happen.
But
I might make you play a Duke or a Wake, but we'll send them to you in those particular seasons. But give me the schools you want to play that benefit you, because that benefits the ACC. It doesn't benefit the ACC to get your school squashed by Notre Dame. It doesn't.
And the world has changed, but when this announcement was agreed upon and John Swofford talked about it being a win-win, a big part of that was Wake Forest and UVA getting to sell tickets, single game and season ticket packages that included Notre Dame's coming to town.
Bring somebody else in and sell season ticket packages. I want to make Notre Dame happy. I'm that guy. I think the agreement works as well or better for the ACC than it does for Notre Dame. I really do.
So there would be, if Notre Dame is given in the next couple of years the ability to pick and choose their 5, then the terms as it was initially pitched are going to leave a lot of members of the conference behind. And that's exactly what the new revenue distribution model is doing, where everything becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we're going to benefit the teams that draw the biggest ratings, and the same teams are going to get the same windows that get you the biggest ratings. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to let Notre Dame only be playing against the biggest brands, which makes it even less likely that one of those other schools is going to get good ratings, because you're not going to get a game against Notre Dame. I mean, it is 100% rigged revenue distribution, where whether it's like ratings or success initiatives or anything, it is all built in a way that is going to create the gap from the top and the bottom of the ACC, which, for my money, the gap from the top and the bottom of the ACC, I think, is larger than any other power conference.
Yep.
It's only going to make the gap further.
And I'm okay with it.
This is analysis, okay?
I'm okay with that.
This is analysis. This is not opinion. This is analysis. This is just the way that I think it's going to go.
I want to string this along as far as they can take it, because I do believe the entire system's blowing up in a handful of years anyway, and we're not even going to have to be worried. I think we're probably having this discussion, and it's all temporary.
I mean, like in the column that you referenced, I use the example of like, hey, look, who knows whether any of this is around in 2036, right. But in 2036, Notre Dame has 5 scheduled ACC opponents.
And they might have them. They might have those 5, but it'll be Florida State, Miami, Clemson, North Carolina, and Stanford.
That sounds like something Notre Dame. Yeah, sounds like something Notre Dame would take.
I'm sorry, I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm good also with you, as always. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, my friend. I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.